Since you clicked this video, we know you are feeling a little underpaid and maybe a little undervalued. So stay tuned to the very end of this video where we walk you through exactly how to get that money.
Stop wasting money on that dumb shit and instead put it in investment. I know it's tempting, you'll spend it and be broke again.
And as always, I'm your bro Taylor.
And I'm your bro Ryan.
And before we walk you through making that money, let's figure out if you are in fact underpaid, because we know you're undervalued. So the easiest, most simple way to initially get an idea of where you stand in the market is simply doing a little bit of research. There are plenty of websites out there like Glassdoor and Indeed where people have the opportunity to report what kind of income they're making in a similar position. So be sure to do as much research as possible, but this can give you a really good baseline to go off of.
Yeah, and if you haven't heard of Glassdoor, that's one of my personal favorites because you can literally search the company, the position, and the area to get such a good idea. Because a lot of times to get that information, they make you fill in your information.
Yeah.
Nothing detailed, just again, your location, your company, and your position, and it'll put it on anonymously and use it as data. So you can see others and they can see yours, and it's super accurate in that way. Now that we know the market value for that position in our specific area, now let's start asking ourselves some self-reflection questions to see where we stand. So first, since we accepted the position initially at that initial salary, has our job grown, but our salary has not?
That growth and responsibility should be reflected in a growth in income. So if you are like, okay, I don't feel like my income properly reflects my new added responsibilities, that can be a great indicator. Now, another big indicator, and unfortunately this is a very common thing that you'll see, are new hires getting paid more than you. Because companies are constantly trying to stay competitive with the market, so they'll naturally over time increase their beginning salary. Oftentimes that can lead to them neglecting their current employees. Now, that's not every company. A lot of companies do like to take care of you, but the sad truth is sometimes you got to do a little fishing. And I know that can be a little bit hard to figure out because not everyone is super forthcoming with what they're making. And a lot of companies do kind of discourage that kind of conversation from transpiring. But there are different times where you can kind of put some feelers out there and be like, just casual conversation with another employee. I wonder what that position makes. Sometimes they'll know. And what I found to be the case is oftentimes if that position is making more than they feel like they should be, they're very forthcoming with that information. They're like, oh my gosh, they make so-and-so.
And a final question to ask yourself is, since I've been at this company, have I been getting raises enough to at least, at the bare minimum, keep up with inflation and the cost of living? If you're not even getting that much of a raise, then you are losing money.
Yeah, because inflation is constantly eating into your income. So you should expect some, oftentimes it's annual, adjustments to compensate for that. If you realize, okay, I don't feel like my income has kept pace with either my responsibilities, what the market is, at least the cost of living adjustments that have happened over time, then we kind of get to the point where we have to go through and be like, okay, I need more money one way or another, which takes us to the exciting point of what to do when you realize you are being underpaid.
AKA, how do we get that money?
And step one oftentimes is simply to be gathering this data like we've talked about and be able to present this in a meaningful, understandable way. Now, you don't want to come in with a lot of anger, but you need to put something on the calendar with your manager or whoever it would be that you need to have this conversation with and really lay out the points that you found. Like, okay, according to my market research, if you want to reveal that you've talked to some people in the company, you can, although sometimes that's met with hostility. Whatever you think is, best, and oftentimes that depends on the manager. Yeah. You can make that assessment for yourself, but lay out what you found and what you think you are entitled to. Because everyone that doesn't ask, the answer will always be no.
When you're getting ready to go into that conversation, just like Taylor said, you want to have data. This can be an emotional conversation, but you want to take the emotion out of it best you can because you don't want to go into your manager's office and go, I need a raise or I deserve a raise. You want to go in there and say, look, like Taylor said, I have this data to back me. I have data within the company to back me. The cost of living's gone up and it's not kept pace with what I received since I've been here. So I think for these reasons, And I've been a model employee. I show up on time. Hopefully that's true for you. I get all my work done before the deadline. Hopefully that's true for you. And that obviously helps your conversation to say, not only am I a great employee, but here's all the data to back why I need this, or unfortunately, I'm going to have to look elsewhere.
Yeah. You have to have the confidence to both have this conversation and be willing to walk away. And I know that's a scary thing, but the reality is, and the data does show, that raises don't oftentimes come with staying. They come with moving and jumping to another company.
But at the same time, you do want to choose your battles and know what's valuable to you. Like the grass isn't always greener. So if you absolutely love your company, just have a real, truthful, honest conversation, again, with data, with your boss, and say, look, I really do want to stay here. Trust me, I do. I love working with you guys. I feel like I'm a good contributor. However, I do need at least this amount in order to stay around here to show that my value is being appreciated.
And I know that this can all be very intimidating, but you have to come in with confidence, because if they don't believe that you're actually confident and really are going to demand or push for this amount of money, a lot of companies, unfortunately, are just going to let that go by. They're going to kick that can down the road. So be confident. We hope you guys learned something from this. Please let us know down in the comments if you did, your experiences, if you've ever done something like this. Like I sat down with my manager, had this conversation, and I did get this raise. Or I found that I did have to leave my company, but it was for the best because now I'm in a much higher paying position and I really enjoy my work. Let us know. We always love hearing feedback from you guys. But as always, be sure to like, subscribe, and share this video. And be sure to stay tuned for our video next week.
Stop wasting money on that dumb shit and instead put it in investment. I know it's tempting. You'll spend it and be broke again.
Because we don't tell them numbers at all.
Do you even need me here?